And we're live. Welcome back to Ask Dr. Vincent After Hours edition. And you're still with me and my co-host, my friend, my co-founder, Christian.
Hello.
So it's just as dry as ever, but that's fine because today we are going to talk about something that everybody does, or at least everybody should do. And it's really heartbreaking to see.
Well, you die if you don't do it.
That is correct. That is correct. And we're not talking about hydration. We're not talking about diet because obviously you will die when you don't sleep. I mean, sorry, I just ruined it. You don't die when you are deprived of food or water as fast or as quickly as when you don't sleep. When you don't sleep, your system basically is shutting down from the inside out. Your operating system, your motherboard, if we're taking computer as an analogy. And this is something that is really heartbreaking for me because over time, over the last few years, I feel that people are wearing that badge of I don't sleep a lot or I don't need a lot of sleep. I just work and work and work as a badge of honor without realizing that they're actually sacrificing their health. And I would like today's conversation to change your perspective, to reframe your understanding about sleep. Because if you're asking me, sleep is the most underrated superpower anyone can have.
So how much sleep did you get last night?
So, thank you for putting me on the spot. As you know, Renovatio has a sister company called Vincent Plus in the US. And working our US based office is in Chicago, and working 2 time zones means that I really need to make sure that I can manage my sleep really well. So to answer your question, I probably slept a grand total amount of 4 hours last night. However, it was a really good quality sleep. And we should talk about that, whether or not it's quality or quantity when it comes to sleep. But just to give people a shout out in Chicago, uh, it is a pleasure working with people there because I don't know how they do it. It's so cold in Chicago, even now that, especially now that they are leaving the warmer months. So, in a way, I do think that that's the reason why probably our serum is doing really, really well there. Because when the air is dry, when the temperature drops, your skin needs the extra boost. So our serum is something that that's doing really, really well.
Okay,
More than our tablets. I don't know why.
Let's come back to sleep. So actually, just talking about like different climates and that sort of stuff. Is it the colder or hotter it is, you need more or less sleep? Does temperature or anything like that affect it?
Temperature plays an important role when it comes to our sleep because we don't actually sleep very well when our temperature is hot. Our body temperature is high or hot. Normally, depending on every individuals, normally we sleep really well when our body temperature goes down or cools down to 1 degree Celsius. If you happen to use Fahrenheit, confirm
1
yourself.
degree Celsius? I don't think so.
1 degree Celsius, yes.
1 degree?
Yes.
That's very cold.
That's very cold.
But okay, so isn't the adage that some people like to?
This is why you should not just take anyone's word for it. It was a test if you are actually listening, because 1 degree
I'm
Celsius is
listening
very
too.
cold. What I'm saying is that
I'm worried that you're sleep deprived and.
No, maybe that's correct, but no.
1 degree.
Hey, what I'm saying is that when we go to sleep, it's better when our body temperature goes down than going up, because that's when your body is at the optimal temperature or optimal condition to sleep.
Yeah, but isn't the old adage like, some people sleep hot in terms of all dressed up, covered in blankets, doesn't matter what temperature it is, and some people sleep cold, so they only wear like a t-shirt or nothing, and they stay out of the blankets, and then those two people marry each other.
Well, I really believe that it is something that that goes beyond your body's nature. I do think that nurture comes into play. Habit or things that you do and how you have been sleeping, throughout your lives, because you don't just you're not just being born and you are suddenly a cold sleeper, a cool sleeper, or a hot sleeper. It is how you have been sleeping your entire year before you actually meet your partner. But I actually heard that and I read that before, that just the way that the universe works, you end up with what I always say, the sleeping monster. So basically, someone who sleeps in the entirely different system or condition that you are.
Okay, so let's maybe go back to the beginning and let me ask you the question, the very basic question, which is, what is sleep? I mean, everyone just closes their eyes and they drift off and whatever, but what actually is it? Like, what happens to your body during it, and why do you die if you don't get it?
So our brain is our body or is our sorry. Let me start this again, because I want this to be very clear. Our brain is like our body's main operating system. It's our body's computer chip. So our brain needs to restart, reboot, recuperate, and and rest basically during the time that it is functioning, and we call it sleep. So sleep is basically a chance, our biological window for our physical body to slow down. And when I say slow down, this works with our body temperature, our heart rate, they slow down while our brain is doing a defragment. So we're doing things like refiling dreams, we're doing things like refiling memories, we're doing things like storing memories.
So we're defragging our operating system.
We are defragging our operating system in the way that our brain can sort out all of these things that happens during the day, either store it as a memory, forget it, or process it further.
And how many days can we go without sleep? I mean, really, do you have to sleep every day?
You do need to sleep every day, because our body has this thing called the circadian rhythm. So circadian rhythm is our body biological clock. It runs on a cycle. I don't know whether or not this is biological
I'm gonna
or routine that our body cycle happens.
Yeah, I'm going to
Every
challenge you
24
on this
hours.
because, I read somewhere that sleep hasn't always been, as it is kind of now. And I'll explain that in a couple of ways. One, they did some sleep tests. Some person went into a cave. It was all completely dark or whatever. And the body's rhythm became like a 40-hour day and then 17 hours sleep or something like that. Because the guy didn't have any clocks. He just went to bed when he was tired and did other things. And then way back in like the 1800s and things like that, people didn't necessarily sleep all during the night. They'd have two sleeps. So they'd go to sleep early.
Siesta.
They'd have a siesta. Well, let's get to siestas. But the people in the UK, I'm not sure about it, Asian nations used to, go to sleep about 7 or 8 o'clock at night, wake up at 12, do a couple of things, go back to sleep at 2 or 3, and then wake up and work their day. And that was the normal sleep rhythm.
So what I believe is that, like everything else in our body, you can manipulate or you can interfere with it in a way that you can change your habit. But what I do believe is that our circadian rhythm works not only based on our internal body clock, but it adjusts to our external environment. By external environment, it's mainly sunlight. The reason why we have so people don't just arbitrarily decided that a day is 24 hours. It is based on the sunlight, the sunrise and sunset. It's the Earth rotation. So I do believe that, because we know biologically our sleep is tied to hormonal system. Our sleep is tied to the way that our brain perceives light, and that's the reason why we need sleep every 24 hours, because that is how our body perceives light and perceives time. Of course, when you take away the light, uh, you said that it's the ability to tell time, but it really is the ability of our body to perceive and interpret time, because our body, for the longest time during the ancient time, before clock was invented, before the sundial was invented, our body relies on this natural stimulation when it comes to get up, when it comes to go to bed, and that ties a lot to the sun movement. And when we talk about the external stimulation, this is the reason why when that person went into the cave and it really altered the circadian rhythm, the same way that when you are looking at your phone doom scrolling, it also alters your brain's perception of the circadian rhythm, because without you knowing it, this phone screen is actually emitting blue lights, and blue lights is a characteristic of the get up light, wake up light. So it's telling your brain that it's time to wake up, even though you're actually doing this at 11 o'clock at night in bed.
And talk about siestas then. I mean, siestas are a cultural tradition in certain parts of
Did you know
Europe.
that there is a legal definition of nap or siesta?
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
So
What is it?
there is a legal definition when it comes to whether it's a sleep or a nap. So a nap needs to be less than 90 minutes. Everything after that is classified as sleep. And a lot of people believe in siesta or nap. A lot of cultures do that. I think the Greeks do that. Italians do that. The Spanish do that. And and there is a lot of both anecdotal as well as scientific study that shows that it actually increases productivity. And to an extent, I agree with this, because when you give your body a short break, a short recess during the day, it actually helps to soft reboot your system. The problem is that when you go over that 30 minutes mark, you will wake up a little bit groggy, or it will actually make you more tired. So there's a fine line here. I do believe that it works for some people, but in terms of managing your life, unless you can be so disciplined in terms of, when it's time for you to take a nap, you go to a room, or you have a lie down and just go to sleep, to close your eyes. Whether or not it's a shallow sleep or deep sleep, you close your eyes. Unfortunately, a lot of us, because we all have mobile phones, when we say that, oh, I'm gonna go and have a lie down, I bet you, and I'm guilty as charged, 90% of the time, you open your phone and you go to Instagram or TikTok, or you read news. And that's when siesta becomes a problem.
Okay, so you've talked about the phone screen and the blue light from the phone a couple of times. What is actually the time frame you need to not be looking at a blue screen before you try to go to sleep?
At least an hour. I know it's
That's a
unrealistic to
long
ask
time.
people that. So let's start with 15 minutes.
So everyone, the challenges out there, everyone should stop looking at their phone screens 15 minutes before they try to go to sleep. Now,
Yeah,
is trying to go to sleep, laying your head on the pillow and shutting your eyes, or is trying to go to sleep sort of sitting in bed
humans,
or
we are
brushing your teeth or something?
we are a creature of habits. So it is how you you design it to be. As long as you are keeping consistent in terms of your bed night or sleep time routine, and you keep it, that is the most important thing. I'll give you an example. Anyone who is a parent or who have taken care of kids, young kids, in terms of sleep time or bedtime routine, you know that they respond to cues. If you say, for example, make sure that the kid has a bottle of milk every night before bed, and you do that every day for the first like 5 months, when they became a toddler and everything, then you can't take that away immediately, because the brain associate that as a sleep routine. So your sleep routine is what you make it to be. Some people read books. Some people journal before they go to bed. Some people brush their teeth or do their nighttime skincare routine before they go to bed, because that's how they associate with getting ready to bed. So for sleep, I mean,
So you just need to cut your phone out from that. You need to put, you need to, put your phone face down, put it on your bedside table 15 minutes before you get into bed.
yes,
Is that right? Get
that is
into bed.
that is correct. And the 15 minutes is basically the time that you also calm yourself down, because I don't know about you, but being a business owner and CEO of Renovatio, as well as Vincent Plus, I feel that I needed to be online all the time. I need to be online all the time. I feel the pressure of being contactable at all times, especially now with 2 different time zones. It was easier when it was just Singapore. But the need and the pressure, and nobody's pressuring me. I gave these pressures to myself. That the expectation of being contactable and reachable at all times actually caused my brain to stay alert even when it's time to go to bed. Fortunately for me, people always ask me what's the secret ingredients, what is the secret sauce to being a successful entrepreneur or startup owner, founder, small business owner, big business owner, whatever it is, right? And my answer, amongst other things, is the ability to command yourself to fall asleep. I have never had any issues falling asleep, and
So I have a big issue falling asleep. I sometimes take a really long time to fall asleep.
so again, with everything, it's nature and nurture. But I do believe that I go to bed at the end of the day feeling that I have done my absolute best on that day. I've done all of my brain dump, everything that I think about. I've told that to someone, or I've written it down, or I've recorded it, so that I don't forget. So when I go to bed, I don't have any debt in my head, so to speak. I don't have any mental debt. I don't suddenly wake up and think that, oh, I should have done this, or I need to do this.
I'm not really thinking about anything. I'm just like, it's just hard to get to sleep, and then suddenly you're kind of asleep, sort of thing. But I have
So
to
this is a
I have to
build.
admit that I don't have any routine before I go to bed. I do a whole lot of
I was about
random
to say,
things
yeah.
before I do to bed. It's never the same every.
I was about to say that. So this is a habit building routine, or exercise, because your body needs to know when it's time to go to bed, and you need to cue it. You need to make sure that your body knows. I know that you knows consciously, but subconsciously, your body needs to know.
So if you
Just imagine that your body, if it's a company or an organization, it has a lot of departments, right? And I really do believe that communication between the different systems in our body is very integral when it comes to things like sleep, when it comes to things like uh, thinking, memory storing, and stuff like that. So all of this department needs to work in sync in order to achieve that goal.
So with, for example, your circadian rhythm, you're up on the couch, you binge watching your favorite whatever.
Who are you watching at the moment?
Oh, I just finished The Wire. It's an old series, but it's really excellent. Anyway, so you're sitting on the couch, you're trying to just, you got 10 minutes left on the show or whatever. The circadian rhythm's really kicking in. Should you stop the show and go, okay, I've got to obey my circadian rhythm and go to bed? Because I know that for me, sometimes if you kind of ignore that, well, then you're actually awake again.
Yes, and then you need to start it all over again, because your body is really good at actually doing what you're telling it to do. So up to a point, your body will facilitate and will obey what you tell it to do,
So
right?
if you ignore your circadian rhythm and you get through that super tired feeling and you've got to sort of get your second wind, how much longer do you have to wait? Do these waves come at a, reasonably predictable time frame, or is it different for everybody?
Contrary to popular belief, it's actually only around about 30 minutes. The issue with that,
So 30 minutes is your chance to fall asleep.
yes,
sort of thing.
the issue why people think that they can't fall asleep is because, and I did a survey when we have this product called Mental Resilience. It's not a sleep supplement. It's not a stress supplement. It's basically something to reset your mental capacity and increase your mental resilience to deal with stressors and environmental factors, including things that will bother your sleep.
Help with the defrag.
Help with the defrag. And we did a survey on what do people actually do when they feel that they cannot fall asleep, when they miss that window of opportunity of their circadian rhythm. And guess what? 95% of these respondents say that they reach out to their phones.
Oh, and that really sets you back.
That sets you back.
So should you count sheep, or what should you do?
Counting sheep works. I've been told that by
But
a lot of people.
Why does counting sheep? Is it just because it's really boring?
It is because it's really boring, and you're focusing on something that is boring, so that when you're counting sheep, and if it doesn't work, counting it from 100 down, because then you're really concentrating on the counting or the sheep, doesn't matter. It prevents your brain from thinking about something else, because when you're counting sheep, you're not really thinking of something else. But if you're thinking about something that is arousing in the way that it makes your brain thinks more. Say, for example, if you're thinking about the state of the economy of the world, you're not stopping there, because then you're like, oh, but how will it work if tariffs are being increased? Oh, but this is the reason why they have to respond with the rare earth metal policy. With before you realize it, you have the whole TED talk in your head. So that keeps your brain awake, because in order to process that kind of information, that kind of critical thinking, your brain needs to be awake when it's time for it to actually defrag.
So the really important question, does it have to be sheep?
No, it doesn't have to be sheep. But then,
wow, that's a scoop. That's controversial.
But then it begs the question. It begs to question that.
What else are you going to count?
What else are you going to count? I have an excellent idea. Apples.
Count apples falling from the tree.
Count apples falling from the tree.
But it wouldn't help if you were trying to challenge yourself to get to as many as possible, would it?
Well, that's the reason I always think that counting down is better.
Okay. So but then is that why anesthetists tell you to count down? I don't know.
Yeah, it's not counting up, because it's counting down. I don't know. You have to ask an anesthetist or anesthesiologist.
Anesthetist.
Yeah. Well, do you know that they call it differently in the US?
Oh, really?
Anesthesiologist.
Okay,
well, we call it anesthetist.
Well, let's have a show on that at some stage.
No, we're not going to have a show on that unless if anyone wants to come on and who can actually speak to this matter.
Okay, so
anyway, I really want to, because Christian is off camera. For those of you who are new to after hours, I don't have ADHD. No disrespect to people who have it. The reason why I kept looking that way is because Christian's that way. He's off camera, but that's the reason why I kept looking that way. But I really want you to look up the body temperature that we cool down to when we are trying to fall asleep, because
it's got to be 37
I
degrees.
do not know why I had it in my head that it needs to be 1 degree. It must be Fahrenheit or something. Oh no, Fahrenheit is even lower.
Yeah,
so
you'd be dead if your body cooled down to 1 degree. I don't know where that came from.
But while Christian's
I personally think it's your lack of sleep from last night, because you were up until like
3.
You were up at 3, and then I messaged you at 7:30, and you replied. So that's not a lot of sleep.
No, that's not a lot of sleep. And as much as I like to think that it is a good quality sleep, it probably wasn't, because I was on an hour and a half podcast recording last, and that's the reason why I was up. And it was a really good conversation. I will link it to, when it's published, I will link it to askdrvincent.com. But while Christian is looking that up, I actually want to talk about, like you said, quantity versus quality. So probably everybody knows that they need 8 hours sleep every night. But is it true? Because I do believe that some people, even after they sleep for 8 hours, they still wake up tired. And some people can seem to function really, really well after only 4 to 5 hours sleep. And Christian is laughing there. Do you have the answer?
Yeah, I do. And the 1 degree was right. It was just maybe stated incorrectly. And it is that your body temperature drops by about 1 to 2 degrees Fahrenheit when you're sleeping.
There you go. So your body temperature doesn't drop to 1 degree, because
you'd be dead.
Thank you for that confirmation, and thank you. I mean, this is the thing. Like, the reason why we're doing after hours separate to Ask Dr. Vincent is because I don't want you to take this as a gospel truth. This is a discussion. This is something that, and I will tell you when something is scientifically true and factual.
You get most of the stuff right, I think.
Well, I think this is the first time that I got things wrong.
That is.
But it's okay.
But it was an honest thing, and I think it's because you're sleep deprived while we're talking and telling people that they should get more sleep or
And I
better
bet
quality sleep.
I bet you,
Sleep or whatever. It's
and
not
I bet you, those of you who are watching live, because this is probably one of our highest live attendance. I bet you're probably thinking, if I'm going to edit it out, no, I don't have enough time to do that. It will be as raw as it is, because that's the reason why I want to do this with Christian, because there is the behind the scene of the understanding about our human health. And I study human body and health for many years, but some things are still new to me, and some things are still an opportunity of learning for me, and we can learn together.
Well, I mean, what you eat and what you drink and that you sleep, they're kind of the fundamentals, aren't they?
That is absolutely true. A lot of people think that sleep is a passive activity, because you don't associate sleep with adrenaline. You don't really think sleep as something that is active, right? But sleep is actually an active activity. What you do during the day determines the quality of your sleep. So the things that you do, the things that you supply your body with while you're awake, determines how well you sleep.
What, in terms of eating and
In terms of
exercising,
eating, in terms of exercising, in terms of
mental activities like working
activities,
or whatever.
working, in terms of your mood, in terms of your hormonal changes.
What? So if you have like a bad day and you kind of a bit sort of frustrated or angry at someone all day, you're not going to sleep well.
Yes, there is a
So just chill. So just chill, everybody.
to an extent. I do think that being passionate about something is very important in
Very
life.
true. Very true.
There is a famous saying, right, that you shouldn't go to bed mad. You shouldn't go to bed being angry,
because you can't fall asleep.
Yes,
They don't tell you that bit.
You need to make sure that you don't have any mental debt.
Yeah, okay.
So this is something that's very important. You don't,
and that's why you fall asleep quickly. And I'm not sure I have mental debt. I just don't fall asleep quickly.
Well, mental debt can be anything about the negative stuff, right? Like your worry, your overthinking, your conflicts with people, your arguments, but it can also be good things. So mental debt in a positive way is like your aspiration, your dreams, your goals, what you want to achieve the next day. That can keep you awake too, or euphoric moment that you had on that day. So I
think the worst one is that you're thinking, oh, I've got to go to sleep now. I've got to sleep now. Sleep right now. And then that's guaranteed you're not going to fall asleep.
So I agree with you. And once upon a time, probably I had the issue too, in terms of like I tried to force myself to tell myself that it's time to go to sleep. It's time for bed. But instead of saying that to yourself, I need to go to bed now. I need to go to bed now because tomorrow I have a really important meeting. Instead of saying that to yourself, I know that some of you might think this is mumbo jumbo, but instead of saying that to yourself, maybe tweak the wording a little bit. Say that, let's go to bed. So instead of commanding yourself, you are actually putting yourself at ease. Let's go to bed.
Okay.
It's time for...
Because it's meant to be a relaxing, and it can be an enjoyable thing, can't it? Like, I like sleeping.
It should be an enjoyable thing. Like, this is something that...
You shouldn't put pressure on yourself.
A third of our life is basically sleeping. And this is also the reason why I do not believe in sleeping in a separate bed with your partner. Because that is a third of your life together. So if you remove that aspect from your life as a couple, then you're losing a third of that connection. And the reason why I'm saying this, and no disrespect to people who have a bed divorce or sleep separately.
No, but solo sleeping is a modern invention.
No, but
whole families used to sleep together in there.
Well, I disagree with that either. But
I think that's true.
When it comes to couples, I do think that it's important that they sleep in the same bed, because when we sleep, sure, you don't talk to each other, you don't see each other, but we have 5 senses. So even when the 2 senses are down, or, not down, but, in the resting mode, the three senses are still there. And probably you're not tasting your partner either. So 3 down, 2 are still there, which is the sense of smell.
Not unless it's really an after hours episode. Anyway, we'll move past that.
Let me finish this. So by removing that 8 hours during your life, by sleeping separately, I do think that you potentially can lose the opportunity for connection even when you are not doing it consciously.
Okay. So let's maybe go back to some of the fundamentals in terms of sleep cycle, maybe. So could you just run us through each of the stages of sleep and how long we should be spending in each of these stages?
So
Because it's not just one thing, is it?
it's not just one thing. There, depending on who you ask, there could be 3 or there could be 4 stages of sleeping. And just to recap, your body's temperature drop 1 degree when your body is preparing to sleep. That actually allows your body to relax and step into the first stage of sleep, which is the light sleep, which is basically when you doze off. This is where we classify it's like, oh, she's dozing off or he's dozing off or he's falling asleep. That is the light sleep. And then your heart rate slows down, your body temperature drops, and then your brain starts to enter that defragment mode. And just after that, your body then drifts into a deeper sleep where this is basically your body's repair mode. The hormone is being released, your tissue regenerates, your immune system recharges, your brain starts to store memories just before it enters what we call the rapid eye movement, which is the REM cycle. This is the dreamland. And while people think that this deep sleep is the most important thing when it comes to sleep, the REM cycle is really important because that's when your body biologically shuts down, but your brain comes into the active maintenance mode. Your emotional processing, your creativity, your memory recognition, integration. This is the reason why when people are sleep deprived, they can't make good decision. They can't remember things. They can't make critical thinking and performing cognitively.
So it's the REM, the defrag bit.
That's correct. But in order for the RAM to defrag, it needs to already go into the deep sleep mode. It needs to pass that deep sleep mode first because the brain only enters the REM cycle when the body is quote unquote relaxed and in the repair mode.
Okay, so what's the most important stage of sleep then? It's the REM stage. And should you be in that REM stage for most of your sleep or
No, you go in and out of stages during sleep. And
okay.
I wouldn't say that.
So you don't go like a little bit or, sort of that that
switch
dozing.
between deep cycle, deep sleep and REM cycle throughout your
Oh, you're going all over the place.
That's correct. And I think everyone can relate to this. When you're dozing off and falling asleep, you have like the feeling of like you're falling off the building, right?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. No, I don't think
just before you go into deep sleep, you're like,
not that I've ever fallen off a building, but yeah.
Like falling, like that feeling of like falling down. I'm sure I don't know, Christian is not probably you probably have sleeping issue if you don't sleep issue.
No. It's just been my entire life. I've just, it just, I take a while to fall asleep. I wish I was one of those people that I could just put my head on a pillow and instantly fall asleep. I wish. I don't have insomnia or anything, but it just takes a while.
For the rest of you who know this feeling of like you're falling down off a building or you're falling down just before you enter the deep sleep, that's basically your body relaxing. And because your nervous system is relaxing and letting go of control, it goes into like autopilot. That's the reason why you have that feeling of like, oh, you're falling down, because your body becomes a lot less tense. You're not moving, and that is the characteristic of you or your body entering the deep sleep. But throughout our sleep, our brain goes in and out of REM cycle and deep sleep because memories are stored and processed and stored during the 8 hours of sleep. And this is the reason why I asked the question just now whether it's just quantity or quality. And the answer, in my opinion, is both. Because you can have a very productive 4 hour sleep where your body is storing memory, processing creativity, emotional things, and everything, but it needs time to process all of it.
Okay, so I've got a new toy that I received recently from my very generous parents.
Is this after hour edition?
Definitely not. It's a watch which the brand name may have something in common with our own business.
It's Apple Watch. For if people are
Oh
watching
my God, you
from
just can't
Apple,
say that. Like, they're not paying us or anything. They're not advertising with us.
and if you do want to advertise, please go to hello at askdrvincent.com.
We'll send Tim Cook an email on that later. But anyway, so I've got the watch, and one of the most interesting things about it is the recording that it does on your sleep. And I don't, for the life of me, understand how it works out. What stage of sleep and when you're awake and all that sort of stuff. But in terms of awake and asleep, it seems to be pretty accurate in terms of being able to tell that, which is amazing technology. But regardless of that, so I'll just talk about me. Over the last 7 days, I've been averaging 6 hours and 3 minutes a night of sleep. Is that enough?
Between 6 to 8 hours, I think that's enough, and I can so kind of see the graph there on your screen, and that goes to show that your body goes in and out of the REM cycle and deep sleep stage, because it is what it is recording is not only your body's temperature, but also your heart rate and your movement and things like that. And that's the reason why when people are not sleeping very well, they're restless, because instead of being in the mode where your body is just relaxing and letting go of the motoric nervous system and control, it's still engaged and that's also the reason why some people have issues like sleepwalking.
Oh my
Technically,
gosh, yeah, we'll get to sleepwalking in a second. I would really like to do that. But I would like to say that, last night for me, I may or may not have been binge watching something, and I ended up only with 5 hours of sleep. Okay.
what's your sleep score?
It's 71, which is in the high range. So it's actually not a bad quality of sleep, and that's what you were just talking about, because
How's
it
mine? Let's
measured.
check.
Well, it measured my interruptions, and I only had 2 interruptions during that 5 hours. So I slept.
Do you wake up during the night to go to the toilet?
No, I don't.
Okay, because that can be an issue as well when people are.
Are you saying I'm really old or something?
No. That can be an issue for a lot of people, young and old, when it comes to interrupted sleep. And it's not the toilet going to the toilet itself that is an issue. It is what you do, because a lot of people, young and old alike, again, reach for their phone initially just to check what time it is or whatever it is, and then they look at their notification, and all of a sudden there's something that piqued their interest. So instead of going back to bed after waking up to go to the toilet at 3 o'clock, they stay away until
It's these
5.
damn phones. We should have like a lockbox. You
You can,
should put them into a lockbox, seriously, 15 minutes before you go to bed, and then not touch it again until.
but then again, people are worried that they're unreachable, or what if there is an emergency? And this is the reason. And I'm so old for saying this. I actually am not old, but I'm such an old school for saying this. This is the reason why I believe in landline. So
I'm not even sure what that is.
the phone line, landline.
No, I know, I'm kidding.
So because when you put your phone in the lock mode when it comes to sleeping, if something happens, if there is a zombie apocalypse, for example, the government can still call you on a landline. So let's see my sleep. Where is my sleep? Was yours 71?
I had 71 on 5 hours of sleep.
Okay. I am not sure what it says about your bedtime, because I still managed to clock in 5 hours sleep last night, and
So what's your
3
score?
hours of it is actually deep sleep.
Oh, wow,
And
that's a lot.
yeah,
So what's your score?
I can't seem to find it.
Okay.
Where is it?
It hasn't recorded your score. Weird. You must have your phone set up different to mine. Doesn't matter. Okay.
But it actually shows that my sleep, despite being a lot shorter than my normal sleep, was actually quite good last night.
Yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it? That it's the combination of things, not just, the time frame or when you're going to bed. I think
Yeah.
that's the most interesting thing. So tell us about sleepwalking. What is sleepwalking?
Well, sleepwalking is basically a condition where your nervous system, instead of disengaging your muscle activities and motoric control, it actually engage it, and couple that with vivid dreams. It compel people to walk. It compel people to do activities. There's even a condition called sexsomnia, where people become like sexually aroused and perform sexual activities when they're actually asleep, and and this is not something that is out of the realm of imagination or biological possibility, because when you are dreaming, you dream about a lot of things that probably you wouldn't do when you were awake. Things like flying or jumping off the cliff or doing things that are, I don't know, more extreme than
Not
your
advisable.
than your conscious self would do. So, um, fortunately for the rest of us, for the most of us, when we have that vivid dream, our motoric control is disengaging or has been disengaged. So even when you're running in your dream,
So this
you're
only
not
happens
actually,
to some people.
yes, you're not actually running. However, some people, when they have that dream, their motoric nervous system is still in the engaged mode.
Wow.
So when they're actually running or walking,
They're running.
they're running and walking.
Oh, wow. Okay. So we're almost at the end of the podcast for today, but I think very quickly we can't ignore eating and eating before bed and
I
and that sort of thing. So how much time should you have as a break before eating? Is it okay to eat in bed immediately before going to sleep?
No, this is the thing that I never understood. I think the Americans, our American friends, the culture or the tradition of cooking bread before bed. They think that it helps them to fall asleep, and I do think that
So hot milk doesn't help people to fall asleep?
hot milk does help people to fall asleep.
Okay.
The issue with hot milk is that caries, so teeth rotting, because milk does contain sugar,
Okay.
uh, in the form of lactose. So during when you fall asleep, your saliva production slowed down. That's why sometimes people wake up with dry mouth and everything. And despite what people think, our saliva is actually protecting our oral health from being invaded by bacteria. So when you introduce something that's sugary and remove the barrier in the form of saliva, you're over time you're actually causing a lot of oral health problems.
So should people have a warm glass of water instead?
I do believe so, and I do believe that it is very important for people to brush their teeth before they go to bed.
So immediately before you go to bed, go to sleep,
Yeah,
you brush your teeth.
and that was part of my bedtime
Nighttime
nighttime routine, in terms of telling myself and my system that it's time to go to bed. But I also believe that you shouldn't eat anything, especially anything that is heavy, at least 3 hours before your intended bedtime.
Okay, but there's some foods that make you want to sleep, like, for example, turkey.
I think it's the amount of food that you eat,
Okay.
because what happens is that when you're in the relaxed mode, when you're in there's a reason why they call it comfort food, right? That you're actually dozing off.
So it's more about your mood rather than the
Yeah,
actual food.
yeah, a lot. I mean, for 90% of the population, sleep issue is usually psychological more than physiological.
Okay, really? So how many hours before going to bed should you really not maybe eat anything?
General rule of thumb, 3 to 4 hours, because that's the amount of time that our body needs to complete a digestion cycle.
And how about drinking? I mean, a lot of people drink water immediately before they go to sleep.
Water, did you say?
Yeah.
Uh, Sure, as long as if you do your Kegel exercise, it means that you don't have to go. It means that your bladder control
I
is
mean,
good.
some
So
people have a glass of water or a bottle of water next to them on the bedstand when they
I
sleep.
do believe that because again, sometimes when you wake up in the middle of the night and you have like a coughing fit, not because of anything, but just because it's dry, you want to reach for a glass of water or a sip of water so that you can then fall asleep immediately instead of having to go to your kitchen, pour yourself a glass of water, and maybe check your phone along the way.
Okay.
So that's a good idea. I also believe that, and this is not scientifically true, but I also believe in some culture, including Indonesian culture, you put a glass of water on the bedside table because it helps to hydrate your environment. And I know that it's something that is so ridiculous because Indonesia is very humid, but I find that very helpful during winter here in Australia because the winter
That's an
itself
interesting tip. That's
the
a really
the
interesting
winter
tip.
itself dries out the air, but because I can't really sleep when it's too cold, I put on heater and the heater further
Okay.
dries out the environment. So having that glass of water helps to minimize the brunt of this dryness.
Okay. Look, I think we're about at the end. That's been a really interesting discussion today. We haven't solved my problem of
Well, I also
falling
don't know
asleep,
why we are talking
but I'm
about sleep
but I'm
when
going to
I'm
go.
sleep deprived.
I know we kind of both didn't have the greatest sleep last night, so yeah.
But you know what? This goes to show that sleep is such an important aspect of our biological need, and it is often being neglected because it is not a conscious activity. We think that we can bank sleep. I really don't believe in banking sleep. It is like, when you miss a dose of your medicine, just take the next dose. I don't believe in banking sleep during the weekend because the intention is good. You don't sleep very well or you don't sleep very much during the week, so that you're gonna add 2 more hours or three more hours of sleep during the weekend because you have the time. But what you do is actually you disrupt your circadian rhythm even further. And then on Monday, the s- the sleep cycle issue happens again. And the reason why I said to you that 90% of sleep issues originate psychologically, not physiologically, because when you are sleep deprived, most people will reach for more coffee, more caffeine to make them function during the day the next day, right? But that enters a vicious cycle of that your body is reacting to the caffeine, and the next night your body has issue falling asleep. And because you have issue falling asleep, the next day you drink more coffee, and that fits into an evil vicious cycle of sleep problem.
Okay, that's been really interesting.
Thank you so much for listening. Thank you. Again, I don't know why is it when I'm sleep deprived, there's so many people watching live. Don't worry. For those of you who miss it, you will be able to get a chance to watch this recording when it's being published. This has been a pleasure. I'm Dr. Vincent, and my co-founder, friend, partner, in crime, Christian, always are very thankful that you listen to our episodes, listen to our banter, and we sincerely hope that you can learn something from all of these episodes. Follow us on Ask Dr. Vincent. The counter has been a bit slow. Please follow us on Ask Dr. Vincent on Instagram, everywhere. The handle is Ask Dr. Vincent. Don't forget to also check out anappleaday.com.au. That's our main business page because we do believe that an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Anyway, have a great, great week, and we bid you adieu. Bye bye.